Okay, so I want to talk about Save Electricity, and I will give a link to this particular website. It helped me a lot a few years ago. And what you do is you look up, say, you think you've used a lot of in light bulbs. Say you use a 25-watt LED. Then you find the 25-watt LED. Then you pick how many hours per day you use it. And then you pick how many days. And it has everywhere from one day all the way down to 31 days. And the way you figure out how much you're being charged per kilowatt hour is you take, say you got charged $50 for 1,500 kilowatts, just to make it easy. You enter $50 divided by 1,500, and then you know how much you're actually being charged, because that's what matters. And you round it up to the nearest cent. Say it comes out to 15.9372. You would choose the 16 cent on the drop down. And there's a lot of stuff on that website I don't do. Like, I don't take a shower in the dark and, just use cold water and do like a 3-minute military shower. But you don't have to, and he even says you don't have to. So, but maybe if you take a 15-minute shower, maybe you take a 10-minute shower, And yes, that will save on your light bill as well as your water bill, unless you're like me and charge the minimum. So I won't really probably talk a lot about lowering your water bill, because I don't try and raise it. I don't try and see how much I can get away with, and I'm sure I'm nowhere near the minimum. Like when I brush my teeth, I do turn off the water in between. And I mostly use the dishwasher, which is supposed to be use a lot less, even when you're trying to be conservative with the water when you're washing by hand. And it hasn't really raised my light bill a lot, going from downstairs without one to there's not really stairs, but you know what I'm saying, to up here with one. But I'm hoping that it'll lower my light bill some using it instead of, and it doesn't sound like a big difference, but if you think about it, it's about a third to half as much. Used it 1 to 2 times a week now, when I was using it 3 to 4 times. Because I've not been cooking quite as much. I cook more in the winter. Sometimes I make sandwiches, or I cook for a whole week. And I do that to an extent during the winter. But a lot of times I'll make a warm soup and I'll eat on it for a few days during the winter, or warm chili, chili beans. But I'm hoping that it'll lower my light bill some. Of course, I've used it like twice in the past 2 years. Used the dry feature. I don't use I use the no heat dry any other time, and I don't even remember why I used it 2 times, but I remember I needed to use it, and that's how rare I use it. I'm sure some people have used it 0 times for many years, but I'm hoping that that'll lower my light bill some. But honestly, I've heard from a lot of people they would dream for my light bill. And in fact, one place I lived in northeast Tennessee, a smaller town there, the woman charged me like, I want to say $385 a month, rent, lights, and water included. So all I had was my cell phone bill. And, so she was like, but keep your light bill as low as you can, and your water bill. I was like, oh, don't worry. And she said I had the second lowest, and I knew who the lowest was. She's like, any guesses? And I was like, yeah, probably Cecile. And because she's one of the people that recommended me for the apartments, because she didn't rent out just to anybody. And she owned quite a few properties, and that was her main way of making money until she died, and then her son took over. And I lived there for a few months to a year until my mom got sick and I needed to move in with her. But that just goes to show how low my light bill can be. And of course at the time I was working, so I was gone 8 hours a day, 4 days a week. So, and then a lot of times I went with my mom on the weekends because, like I said, she was starting to get on the sicker side. And that's why I wound up eventually having to, I was laid off from my job, and I just went ahead and lived with her. And this was before I got disabled. But if you see that something's costing you $50 a month and you think that's too expensive, can you use it less? I didn't say not at all. You can say, not use it while you're asleep, or not use it while you're gone, and get it down to 25 or 20. And I would recommend focusing on one area, especially if there's quite a few areas. And then, when you're not even noticing it anymore, after about a month, do it again to something else. Say, instead of 50, you're spending 40. And you could lower it to 20. Well, combined with the 25 or 30 that you're saving from the 50 because you're not using it as much, now you're saving another 20. That adds up quick. And if you keep doing it, before you know it, you'll have a reasonable light bill. Because I'll be honest, I remember back in the 90s and early 2000s, late 90s and early 2000s, people complained to me and my mom about having a $600 light bill in the winter. And I think a lot of that was they could afford it, and so they had a lifestyle creep. And I can't say that for sure, because some of them did live in a bigger house, they had bigger families and so forth. But especially for back then, that seemed like quite a bit. And we had a light bill of less than 100. That was always my mom's goal. And now, and that was during the winter. During the summer, we had about a $20 to $25 light bill. And that's without using air conditioning and stuff. And even 10 years ago, I had a light bill in the 20s up to the 40s during spring, summer, and fall. And I tried to keep it to around 100. Sometimes it went a few dollars over during the winter. And of course it depends on where you live. Yes, absolutely. But if you could save $40 or $50, no matter where you live, that's going to help you either pay for something else or put money into savings or something. And, and I assume this is reaching frugal people, for people that want to be frugal. And I recommend living, a lot of budgeting people say to do this, and I agree with them. Have one bare bones budget. That means everything has went wrong, the economy's bad, you've lost your job, and you live on it. Then have everything's going wonderful, the economy's great, you have a wonderful job. And then one in the middle. It's where you live most of the time. Your job's so-so, the economy's so-so. It's not horrible, but it's not great either. And just, but now times seem to be bad, and I will say I'm very glad that me and my sister were prepared, because I don't know what we would have done if we weren't prepared. I have always been prepared with food. I went without as a child, and I will not go without food as an adult. And this is probably going to be closer to a 15-minute, well, a little over 10, but under 15. Let me know what you think on my videos. I am open to feedback. I'm doing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. I'm scheduling these ahead. And I may do the occasional bonus videos on either Saturdays or Sundays. It varies from week to week. You might not get one every week. And right now I'm not editing at all. I'm listening to them back to make sure that there's not a lot of noise where you can't hear me. And do all the YouTube things that I'm supposed to ask, like, share, comment, because I do want to have at least some reach. I don't really have to worry about money because I have disability, and hopefully I can work at the sheltered work program here in the southwestern area of Virginia. So if you hear me talk about Southwest Virginia, that's what I'm talking about. And make a few dollars an hour. Probably won't be minimum wage. It's usually not. Some people don't think that's fair. I think, thank you for the opportunity to make money for disability, because they have to spend extra money to make the warehouse, to make the special warehouse that handles people with different disabilities, and they have to have people there to keep you on task. They're taking a risk because people by default to work there have to have a physical or mental disability. Most of the time people have both, and you have staff that don't, that are hired by the mental health company that's over everything around here. But I still want to help people. I still want to reach people, and hopefully they won't have as hard of a time, because I know it's hard to make a living on working, and I have had many upper middle class friends in my life, because I don't care how much you make or don't make. I want the best for you. And like I said, lifestyle creep, but also you pay a lot more in taxes, and I understand that. And some people with a big heart, they want to help people, but then they eat up with taxes, because I never was in the high income tax bracket, I'll be honest with you, but some of my siblings have been. My sister, her and her husband at the time made a lot of money. They were both school teachers, so they made about $30,000 to $40,000 each, which for around here is an outrageous amount of money, And one of my brothers, when he was married to his first wife, he made about $100,000 a year, which is unheard of around here, because it's a very low cost of living state. But he had to go all over the country. He had to work 100 plus hours a week, almost every week. And then, in both cases, they had to pay 50 to 60% of their income to the government. So, believe me when I tell you that I understand. And I want everyone to do it. And I want everyone to be able to live below their means, to where maybe they can retire early, or they can retire when they do retire at 65 or 67 or whatever it's going to be, that they'll be able to make it, and they won't have to choose between food and medicine. And we can discuss where everything should be divided. Like, should the government do it? Should private organizations do it? Should some combination? And I don't think you're bad if you disagree with each other on that. I think that's one of the things that frustrates me the most. Oh, you think the government should do it. Oh, you think private. You're selfish. Oh, you don't understand how the railroad works. All that blah, 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 blah. Gets to me, I'll be honest. I don't like those kinds of conversations. And I hope you was able to hear me over the air conditioner. I may have to do it later tonight because it's 9 o'clock. Even though it's late April, mid to late April, it shouldn't be this, while I'm recording, it shouldn't be this hot. So hopefully I can wait. So I may just wait till 10 or 11 tonight or even later or in the morning and do it. I'm going to listen now. Okay.